Louie arrives at his father's hotel with his group and demands the best suite. With no other option, the staff forces a guest to leave their room to accommodate Louie and his friends. They immediately start partying, causing chaos and damaging the suite. One of Louis's friends brings in a wallaby for his pet panther. The wallaby jumps off the balcony into the pool, and the panther follows, attacking it. Other guests are shocked, while Louis and his group cheer. The next day, news of the incident spreads, leading animal rights activists to protest the hotel. The scandal harms the hotel's reputation, and the board considers firing Louis's father, Jean-François. Angrily, Jean-François goes to Louis's suite, where the party is still going. He wakes Louis and scolds him, warning that if he loses his job, Louis won't be able to party there anymore. Louis ignores him, and his father storms off. That night, Jean-François complains to his wife, Hélène, about Louis, explaining how he tried sending his son to different specialists to help him behave. Hélène suggests he should spend more time with Louis, but Jean-François says he doesn't have time, especially with his job at risk. The next day, Jean-François visits his new hotel, where they're filming a commercial. The director, Chris, is frustrated with the model's poor acting. As the crew walks by, Chris gets an idea and whispers to the boom operator. They start filming again, and the actress enters a bedroom, surprised by the boom operator's revealing outfit. This gives Chris the reaction he wanted for the ad. Jean-François warns him the actress might sue, but Chris believes pushing someone to improve doesn't require permission. Afterward, Jean-François takes his helicopter to leave, but spots the hotel's large grounds from above and gets another idea. He returns to the hotel. Jean-François offers him a chance to make his own film. One night, Louis exits a bar and finds his car being towed. He runs after the tow truck, but gets hit by a tranquilizer dart. When he wakes up, he hears a bell ringing. Before he can understand what's happening, a man named Sylvain pulls him out of bed and tells him to hurry. Sylvain warns Louis that their boss will punish him if he stays asleep. Just then, Bavelin enters and throws a bucket at Louis, telling him to attend to their Viscount. When Sylvain speaks up, Bavelin throws him against the wall and continues to beat him. Scared, Louis is told to take the bucket and start working. Nervously, Louis runs outside and is shocked to find himself in a medieval village. Bavelin follows, and Louis runs to a nearby estate. Inside, the Viscount is talking to Dr. Celestin about his stomach issues. Suddenly, the Viscount feels the urge to use the bathroom, and Celestin tells Louis to prepare the bucket. Still confused, Louis follows Bavelin, who helps set up the bucket for the Viscount. The Viscount does his business while Louis watches, disgusted. Afterward, Celestin checks the bucket and tells the Viscount his health is improving. The men celebrate, but Louis is puzzled and questions why they're happy about a bowel movement. Thinking it's a prank, he tries to escape but finds the village surrounded by wolves. Panicked, he runs back but is chased by dogs. He makes it back to the village but can't leave. Estienne, the Viscount's son, arrives and drags Louis back to the estate to punish him for trying to run away. Louis offers to have his father pay for his release, but Estienne mocks him. Isabeau, Estienne's sister, steps in and reminds him that Louis has served them for 15 years, confusing Louis even more. Estienne still wants to punish Louis, but before he can, the Viscount complains about the noise. Isabeau takes the opportunity to convince her father to let Louis stay, and the Viscount tells his son that since his mother died, the village has lacked kindness, so they must show mercy. Reluctantly, Estienne agrees to back down. Meanwhile, the production crew has set up camp near the fake village. Using camera drones disguised as birds and hidden cameras, Chris and Jean-François watch the scene unfold. Jean-François is worried that Louis might get hurt, but Chris insists they need to pressure him to make him believe that he has become a time traveler. Jean-François fears for Louis' safety but is reassured by Chris, who believes Louis will eventually adjust to the situation and have a chance to change. Outside their tent, the actors playing Isabeau, the Viscount, and Bavelin are taking a break. The actor playing Estienne meets his girlfriend, who is also the production's horse trainer, Lisa. Later, Louis finds himself in the estate's kitchen with Sylvain. At the director's command, Bavelin orders Louis to help with the cooking. Reluctantly, Louis starts peeling potatoes while talking about how this situation feels like something out of Back to the Future. Sylvain laughs, and Louis asks if he knows the movie. This makes Sylvain, Chris, and Jean-François uneasy. Sylvain quickly explains that he was just laughing because the idea of going back to the future seemed absurd. Louis then starts to think he may have been hit by a car and transported into the past. Believing that getting hit by a car again will return him to his own time, Louis decides to test the theory. He runs outside and throws himself in front of a wheelbarrow. When that doesn't work, he races toward a horse-drawn carriage and knocks himself out. Jean-Francois and Chris panic, fearing he might be seriously hurt. Luckily, Louis wakes up soon after, and the show continues. Over the next few days, Louis starts adjusting to his new surroundings, even learning to better serve the Viscount. He gives up on escaping, afraid of the wolves in the forest. Seeing progress with his son, Jean-Francois invites Hélène to see how things are going. They watch the camera feed together, and Hélène mistakenly thinks they've hired Louis as an actor. Later, Isabeau pretends to cry, trying to get Louis's attention. She complains about the Viscount forcing her to marry a rich but old man. Isabeau says she'd rather marry someone her age, even if he's just a servant. Despite her flirting, Louis suggests she marry the old man since he'll likely die soon, and she'll inherit his money. He then leaves to do his work. Once he's gone, Isabeau talks to the camera and asks Chris why Louis isn't interested in her. Chris thinks Louis must lack compassion. Jean-Francois defends his son, explaining that Louis is used to women throwing themselves at him, but he's not used to Isabeau's approach, so it had no effect. Hélène realizes the whole production is an attempt to teach Louis a lesson. Jean-Francois reminds her that she told him to spend more time with Louis, so he's doing just that. However, Hélène doesn't see this as spending time with his son. Their argument is interrupted when they hear Isabeau struggling with her horse. Worried that their cover might be blown, Chris sends Lisa to help. Lisa arrives in costume to calm the horse. However, as she gets off her horse, Louis notices her modern undergarments. Surprised, he tackles her and checks her clothes, accidentally catching a glimpse of something inappropriate. Lisa quickly kicks him off and walks away, having removed her undergarment before Louis could see it again. Seeing this, Hélène reminds her husband that people aren't objects for him to control. She storms off, but Jean-Francois follows her, insisting that something has changed in their son. Back at the tent, they watch as Louis talks to another servant, asking about the horse trainer and wanting to apologize for embarrassing her. With Chris guiding the actor through an earpiece, the servant tells Louis that Lisa is the blacksmith's daughter who cares for the Viscount's horses. As a result, Lisa is prepared for a new role, although she insists she's not an actress. Chris reassures her that she only needs to accept Louis's apology, and then she can leave. Later, Louis visits Lisa to apologize for staring at her body. He explains that based on what he's learned from others, a woman seen by another man is no longer considered an eligible bride. He feels guilty for seeing her that way. Lisa tells him to stay away and heads back to her makeshift house. Chris and Jean-Francois are happy with Louis's progress, and even Hélène begins to think it's working. Chris suggests giving Louis a romantic interest to help him become a hero, choosing Isabeau. However, Hélène points out that Louis seems more interested in Lisa. Jean-Francois laughs, but Hélène insists Louis is in love with Lisa. Chris disagrees and continues his plan to pair Louis with Isabeau. During a holiday celebration, Louis isn't impressed. He starts a conga line and teaches the musicians a modern song. Isabeau tries to join, but Louis ignores her. Later, he looks for Lisa, confirming his stepmother's theory. Sylvain tells Louis that Isabeau is crying, but Louis only asks about Lisa. Sylvain finally tells him where Lisa is, but when Louis arrives, he finds Isabeau pretending to drown herself. He saves her, but instead of falling for her, he puts her in a carriage and walks away. Hélène points out that Louis isn't interested in Isabeau. Chris, frustrated, sarcastically offers her his job. To his surprise, Hélène takes charge and tells the crew to prepare Lisa. That evening, Louis finds Lisa outside, and they talk about modern life. She encourages him to keep sharing, and they spend the night talking. When Lisa asks Louis about the others, he explains they are people who work hard to afford a flight and mocks public transportation. This annoys Lisa, who reminds him that his job is cleaning the Viscount's bucket. She walks away, leaving him speechless. The next day, Lisa apologizes to Hélène for scolding Louie, explaining she sees rich men as spoiled. Hélène believes Louie can change and asks Lisa to help him learn to love others. Meanwhile, Chris is upset that Hélène is taking control. Jean-François assures him he still owns the project, but asks him to work with Hélène. Chris agrees reluctantly and starts considering her as a consultant. Estienne is concerned about Lisa's role, thinking the film industry will take advantage of her, but Lisa wonders if he's just jealous. That night, Louie asks Sylvain for advice on how to apologize to Lisa. Sylvain suggests a bear dance and a poem, warning she might prefer a real bear. The next day, Louie performs a poem, turns it into a song, and dances for Lisa. She and the others are pleased, and Louie thanks Sylvain later. Late that night, Jean-François sneaks into Louis's room. Sylvain warns him, but Jean-François assures him Louis won't wake. However, Louis stirs, and Sylvain knocks him out while Chris pulls Jean-François away. The next morning, Louis thinks it was just a dream. The next day, Bavelin tells the Viscount that Estienne and his friends ruined an inn during a drunken party, even bringing a wolf to eat a lamb. Louis recalls when they bought a wallaby for his panther. The Viscount asks Louis to take Estienne's punishment, offering a generous reward, including a bride. Louis agrees and is sent to a public flogging, but the executioner only lightly hits him. Estienne interrupts, claiming Lisa belongs to him, and throws Louis aside. Jean-François is surprised, and Chris admits Estienne is improvising. Hélène worries the actor is taking things personally. Louis stands up to Estienne but doesn't fight for Lisa. Hélène leaves, believing this is a good sign that Louis is finally reflecting on his actions. Later, Louis asks Lisa if being a servant bothers her. She encourages him to keep moving forward. Louis, grateful, prepares a candlelight dinner for her. As they spend more time together, Louis notices a bird flying strangely. A drone goes out of control, so Chris asks Lisa to distract Louis. She kisses him, but he quickly notices her hesitation and apologizes. Chris and Jean-François watch, pleased with Louis's progress. Hélène insists the project stop before Louis and Lisa fall in love, arguing that manipulating emotions is wrong. Chris disagrees, saying the film must continue. Hélène threatens to leave Jean-François if it does. Jean-François hesitates, but eventually tells Chris to stop. Chris ignores him and keeps going. Later, Sylvain tells Louis that Vikings are threatening the village. Louis wants to flee, but Sylvain reminds him of Lisa, so Louis heads to the estate where the Vikings demand a woman as a bride. Arnold picks Lisa as his bride, but Louis, scared, walks away in shame. After seeing a bird, he remembers his kiss with Lisa and rides back to the estate. Surprised, he finds Arnold handing Lisa over, and they ride off together. Chris sees this as cinema changing lives. Meanwhile, Jean-François chases Hélène to apologize, but Louis and Lisa are seen on the road, leading Hélène to believe the project is still going. She leaves, and Louis is tranquilized. Louis wakes up from a coma, feeling disconnected despite regaining his wealth. He talks to his father, who regrets his actions. Louis shares his love for Lisa and tells his father he can still win Hélène back. Jean-François, feeling guilty, drives Louis to a ranch where Lisa is waiting. They reunite, and she takes him to his father's hotel, where they begin a real life together. Jean-François also seeks to make amends with Hélène. Chris starts a new company to create fake scenarios that change lives.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay connected with us.